everyone, we are Group T. I'm Lydia.
I'm Lexi.
Our topic is analysis of IELTS listening test. Our presentation consists of 6 parts: the chosen context, design, setup, and implementation, sample, reporting, evaluation of test principles, and conclusion. Now let's move to Lexi.
Okay, hello everyone, I'm Lexi, and I'm going to talk about the first part, the chosen context. Our students are 17 to 18 years old Chinese young learners study in private IELTS tutoring class, and their proficiency level is IELTS 4 point to 5 point. They will be given the IELTS listening test, and it focuses on students' ability to understand various types and contexts of oral communication. And its purpose is to test whether students' listening ability achieves the requirement of studying as undergraduate in foreign universities. And it is a summative test which measures the product of learning. The next part is design, setup, and implementation. So talking to this, the required material is question booklet, an answer sheet, a headphone, a pencil, and an eraser for each test taker. Also, prepared audio from IELTS organization and a sound box. The students who have special needs are usually juveniles. They will get a badge like this, a dark badge. When the teacher sees the badge, they will offer more help to them. For example, they will guide them to the test room. They will speak slowly when giving test instruction, and they will remind them do not to forget write down your name and your passport number on the paper. So the time is about 14 minutes. 13 minutes for answering questions and 10 minutes for transferring answer to the answer sheet. There are 7 procedures for teacher to implement the IELTS listening test. First, teacher will ask the test takers to store their personal items and then allow them to enter the test room. When students sit down, they will tell them the instruction of IELTS listening test. For example, the time arrangement and what they are not allowed to do during the test. And then they will ask test taker to check whether the headphone works properly. And when the test starts, they will distribute the question booklets and the answer sheets to them. And then they will play the audio. When the audio ends, they will remind them to transfer their answers to the answer sheet in 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, they will ask them to stop writing and collect the booklets, answer sheets, and headphones. So the IELTS listening test is assessing listening skills, especially the skills of understanding the main idea while listening to an oral communication, abstracting the specific information in an oral speech, recognizing the relationship of speakers, and relating the language expressing spatial relationships and directions to a visual representation. So for the third part, it is a sample of the IELTS listening test. So there are many task types in this test. So here I will present 3 of them. So the first one is multiple choice. So students need to select the correct answer among them. And the second one is the map task. Students need to complete the map with the option with the given options. It is quite difficult for them to complete. So the third one is note completion. Students to complete the note according the lecture in the audio. So the next part is reporting. The results of the test is number score, and the full mark is 9 points. Students have two ways to get their results. The first one is online self-checking. 13 days after testing, students have an opportunity to get into the British Council IELTS website, and they can get the score like this. Generally, listening score will come out with other scores: reading, writing, and speaking. The second way to get the result is the test report form. This paper will be sent to the test taker 7 days after releasing the score online. And next part is evaluation of text principles. Let's move to Lydia.
Okay, thank you, Lexi. Now let's move to my part, evaluation of test principles. I will present 5 parts: practicality, reliability, authenticity, validity, and washback. Now let's start with practicality. We find practicality of IELTS listening test is high because, firstly, the time of this test is only 40 minutes. It won't cost a long time to test takers. Secondly, most question tests are objective, therefore, for examiners, it is easier for them to mark. However, when talking about economic burden, there is evidence that a notable economic burden on test takers, because especially for those who don't reach the band scores at the first time or even on more times. Okay, then I will talk about reliability. The first one is test reliability. It's high because the amount of multiple choice is about 45%. It means the scores won't be influenced by examiners subjectively. And also, rater reliability is high because IELTS listening test has its own set of scoring standards. However, when talking about student-related reliability, we find some test takers state that they always feel stressful and anxious before or during the whole test, which may impact their performance negatively. And the third part is authenticity. When talking about authenticity, first, we know IELTS listening test consists of 4 parts, and listening materials in each part are from our real life. Like, recording 1 is a conversation between 2 people set in a social context. Recording 2 is a monologue set in an everyday social context, like a speech about local facilities. Recording 3 is a conversation between up to 4 people set in an educational or training context, like a tutor and a student discussing an assignment together. Okay, recording 4 is a monologue on an academic subject, like a university lecture. However, there is a limitation about authenticity because we find IELTS listening test has a tendency for emphasizing the linguistic norms of inner circle English, such as the United Kingdom, the United States, and Australia. It means IELTS listening tests have higher authenticity for people who live in inner circle. Okay, so now let's move to validity. First one is content validity. We find it is high because questions are set up to test takers' ability, such as the ability of generalizing and abstracting information. Okay, when talking about construct validity, we find it is limited because listening includes audio-visual listening and blend listening. However, IELTS listening test only involves one, it is audio one. However, it means it's missing some or most of real-world characteristics are missing. So, like our lip reading, facial expression, body language, gestures, or postures. Okay, when talking about feasibility, it's also limited because some students think this test is not fair. So it's because topics in the exam are from our real life. Some of them may be familiar to some test takers, in which case they will get a higher performance. Okay, the criterion validity is also limited because even though some test takers they can understand the materials and grasp the answer word, but wrong spelling and grammar are taken into consideration. It not belongs to listening area anymore. Okay, now let's move to the last part, washback. Firstly, I will talk about economic washback. With the increasing number of IELTS students, many IELTS preparation courses have appeared. Secondly, for students, test takers always get little feedback on their test because they only get an overall score result of the 4 skills, and they won't know what they have gone wrong with their self-test. So maybe they only get a number. So for students and teachers, they only focus on practice the test tasks rather than improve their language proficiency. Okay, now let's move back to Lexi. She will give us conclusion.
Okay, thank you, Lydia. Now I'm going to draw the conclusion. So even though IELTS listening tests are limited in validity and washback, it can measure students' listening competence to a great extent. So here are our references. Thank you for your listening.